Two animals are the same species, a wolf and a pug. That's right, dogs are still wolves, therefore a pug is technically a gray wolf. Now, look at that skull. It's incredibly deformed. It's one of the examples of us doing evolutionary experiments very poorly. Throughout our history, we've had a lot of these evolutionary experiments, and many of them did lead to successes, like the cow, for example, which descends from the aurochs. Last recorded aurochs died in a forest in Poland in 1627, but about 10,000 years before then, multiple populations of this beast were domesticated. These people were living alongside them. They took some in. Over time, they bred the ones that were more tolerable. They got smaller over time. They got a little bit more tame. Their horns got less dramatic, less dangerous. And historically, that's how the domestication process typically goes. Small changes that we find desirable become more common over time as we breed those ones and make more. But now we're ready to move into the future, and I want to show you this paper that was just published. They studied over 2,000 Brangus cattle living in Florida, specifically the skin, to see if they could identify variation with their ability to sweat, and with that variation, if they could determine the genetic factor that was leading to that variation. And they did. They found genetic variants that lead to a better, more efficient sweating cow. And essentially what they are proposing is if that moving into the future, we start selectively breeding these cows based on their ability to sweat, it could greatly benefit us as the climate continues to warm. Cows don't do as well in the heat. It affects their ability to grow and reproduce. And in fact, they said that about $369 million of beef production is lost annually due to reduced performance nationally. Well, this seems to be more and more the way things are going to be going. Climate isn't really becoming reversed. We aren't making changes we need to make. I don't think a lot of people have faith in politicians to really lead that charge. And we're starting to see groups like the private group Colossal, but also scientists like this look into like genetics and how we could start to alter the genetics of today's animals to both like help them in the future, but also help us. In this case, it's more about helping us, providing a better life, sure, but in the end, it's for us. But in the case with Colossal, like it's about genetically changing animals to help them. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on this? I know a lot of people like it, instinctually it feels bad, but I think we can probably all agree it's better than a pug. Or maybe not, I don't know, maybe messing with genetics, we have a higher risk of affecting the future in a way we aren't really expecting. I don't know, it's where science is right now. We need to kind of have these discussions.
Good vibes. So here went to the park to see the animals, and you can see they're having a good time with the monkeys there. Just like this monkey who is an acrobat. Yo, man, these ones are extremely clever and creative. Good people of us. After looking at these videos of these monkeys doing these things, do you feel like you believe in evolution theory? That maybe at some point in life, we used to look like these things. Or you are them. Oh my god, this one is wise. Even have our sweater on. Crazy stuff. Oh my god, this one looks like an English person with a cape, sunglasses, drinking milk. What? These monkeys are full of drama. This one has a smartphone and is googling stuff. Probably how to survive being a monkey. Yeah, this one has even gone beyond and now perfected the art of motorcycle riding. How did the good vibes people teach these things? Hey, are these ones on the hospital line or what's up? This one is crazy. Are these skinwalkers or this stuff? Oh, look at this one. Yeah. This one could be a skinwalker. Oh my god, look at them, good vibes caring there. Fantastic. Hey, look at this. These chimps don't have jokes. Yeah?
This is called permeable concrete, and it's designed to allow water to pass directly through. The advantage to this is it reduces the impact on the environment by reducing runoff concentration. To make concrete like this, they use larger aggregate and a special concrete paste, and they remove the fines from the mix. And this allows the water to freely flow through without restriction.
Martin, what are the 4 forces of nature?
Well, before I answer that, some cynical individual said, are those real books behind you? Well, let's have a look. There you go, introductory real analysis. It feels like a book, smells like a book, opens like a book, has stuff inside it like a book. So I guess it is a real book, not some AI created thing. Anyway, the 4 forces of nature. It's interesting that the whole of the universe, the whole of existence in reality, is determined by 4 forces. Just 4. I mean, there might be 5 at some point in the future, but right now there's 4. The one that, well, there are 2 that we experience directly, and there are 2 that we know nothing about unless you start smashing atoms into each other. So the first one is gravity. Now, on a macro scale, light years, billions of miles and all the rest of it, gravity is the only thing at play. And let me say at this point, we call these things forces, but in a way, it's wrong to categorize them all under one category, because gravity is the effect of matter. It's matter bending space and time, which in turn we call gravity. But in a way, it's not a force. It's just the way things move based on the shape of space and time in their vicinity. Anyway, we'll call it a force for now. So the force of gravity creates black holes, creates galaxies, shapes the universe as a whole. There are some strange effects in the cosmos that are not well understood, one of which is that all the galaxies are moving away from each other at an accelerating pace. Now, if gravity was just at play, you might expect that they're all being attracted to each other. Locally, that is true. So the Andromeda galaxy is going to bash into our galaxy at some point. I know it's measured in billions of years, maybe 2 billion years or something. And it'll be a great firework display. So whoever's around at that point, they'll get the firework display of the best firework display that anyone's ever seen. So anyway, that's gravity. It's not really a force as such. It's the deformity of space and time that makes things move in a certain way, but we call it gravity. Now, gravity works great over big distances. There's really no other force that operates over those distances. But when you get down to the size of a proton in an atom, then you look at something called the weak force. And in fact, it's generally not called a force, it's called an interaction, the weak interaction. And I won't go into all the particle exchanges and things because I can't remember them, to be quite honest. But the weak force is operative over a distance of, I think it's 10 to the minus 15 meters, some tiny, tiny distance, the size of a proton or something. Beyond that, it doesn't operate. So whenever a particle decays, radioactive decay, the weak force is probably at play in that. And in fact, the best known case is beta decay. I think it's beta decay. When a neutrino, sorry, not a neutrino, a neutron decays into a proton plus an electron plus some kind of weird neutrino. So it's the weak force or the weak interaction that is causing that to happen. It may not sound like it's very important, but It's very important because we wouldn't have the structure of matter as it is unless it was for the weak force. But remember, only operates over a very, very small distance, the size of a proton or something like that. Then we get to electromagnetism, which we do experience. Now, if you touch something, you think you're touching it, you're not. The electrons in your fingers and the electrons in that object are repelling each other. It's an electrical force. So you never actually touch it. It's the electrons repelling each other in your fingers and in the object you're trying to touch. And of course, you see the electrical force operating in nature, lightning or something like that. But it's largely responsible for the structure of molecules, the way electrons organize themselves around various atoms and so on. So we can experience electromagnetism directly, but it's, again, largely buried into atomic structure and the structure of molecules. It's worth pointing out that electromagnetism is way, 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 way more powerful than the weak force or the gravity over short distances. So, you know, size of a molecule or something. It's way, way stronger. And then we get to the strongest force, which is called the strong force or the strong interaction. And the central role it plays is to enable protons in the middle of an atom to bind together, because of course protons have got the same charge. They have a plus charge by convention. So you can't really bind together protons because they repel each other electrically. So that's electrical force. But the strong force is, at the kind of distances we're talking about, is about 100 times stronger than the electrical force, or electromagnetism. So the strong force wins out and protons can bind together in the center of an atom. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to. So those are the four forces. Gravity shapes the cosmos as a whole. The weak force is instrumental in shaping the kinds of atoms and isotopes and the kind of thing that are formed. It's instrumental in radioactive decay. And the electromagnetic force, which we do experience sometimes in life, but again, it's largely concerned with the structure of atoms and molecules. And the strong force, which allows the nuclei of atoms to form. If it wasn't for the strong force, protons would never get together because they've got the same charge. But the strong force is 100 times stronger than electromagnetism. The strong force and the weak force, or the strong interaction and the weak interaction, are crucial to nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. Those things wouldn't happen, or well, the atoms wouldn't form in the first place. But fusion and fission involve the weak force and the strong force. And the strong force particularly gives off very large amounts of energy when things break apart, or when they merge, it depends. So those are the four forces, and everything around you is shaped by them.
Do undersea cables prove the Earth is flat? Flat Earthers love this talking point. I don't know. Let's dig in.
But notice where they don't go. From Australia to South America, or from South America to South Africa, and here's why. And yeah, I get it. There's a little part that connects right here, but don't worry, I got you covered. Okay, and now when we take the projection of what a flat Earth map would be, does it make a little more sense maybe why those cables don't connect?
Maybe.
Let's take a look. from Australia to South America. Look how far that distance would be. Way too far. That's why they don't connect, as well as South America to South Africa. They don't connect. The only part where they do.
Weird that the map you showed didn't show this cable. Odd. Yeah, the cables go up to this island here, where there's a hub, and then it's going to go on to South America. Weird. Oh, but I got one better. What about this one? Africa to Australia. Why didn't you show that one? I thought you said these don't exist. I thought you said these are impossible on a flat Earth because they're too far. That's why they never made them. Here's the Emoja cable. It connects South Africa to Australia. All right, so let's use your own logic. Because the cable doesn't exist from here to here, or from here to here, because it can't, because Earth is flat and that's too long of a distance. The fact that they do exist, and you lied about it, means that Earth is a globe, because that distance isn't too far. It isn't too far because Earth's a globe, and this map is stupid. And since you already agreed they can't exist because Earth is flat, since they do exist, welcome to the globe. Goalpost moving in 3, 2, 1, go.
People who don't understand the principles of science, for people who haven't bothered to look into it, to just be running around pronouncing that, well, you can't trust science. Well, you know what? Even if science was only 3% trustable, that's 3% more than any fucking religion has ever been.
Take a look at this photo right here of astronaut Bruce McCandless. This is a real photo of him floating above Earth in 1984, and in this he's 98 meters or 320 feet away from his space shuttle. He said that it was so cold he was shivering. His mission was to test the space jetpack, and he definitely did, as he flew around for 1 hour and 22 minutes. On this day he became the first human to spacewalk, untethered with no lifelines connecting him to his space shuttle. This man's courage into the unknown will never be forgotten.
I just watched a lecture by Michio Kaku, the theoretical physicist, called Reading the Mind of God, and he mentions the link between religion and secrets of the universe, or ancient religious texts and secrets of the universe. Watch this. I am baffled right now.
String theory itself is too difficult to solve. No human mind at the present time can solve the theory. However, people have emailed me about the fact that string theory has magic numbers, and that these magic numbers are written in ancient manuscripts. Now, I'm no authority on ancient manuscripts. I'm just an authority in mathematical physics. But string theory singles out two magic numbers, 26 and 10. These are the magic numbers of string theory. In fact, the first magic number, 26, was pioneered by an Indian mystic, one of the greatest mathematicians of the century, Ramanujan. He lived in total obscurity in India. He lived in total obscurity. He wrote letters to the great minds of England, trying to get anyone to sponsor him. And meanwhile, he was racing ahead, creating mathematics we've never seen before in the 26th dimension. Ramanujan's life is so fantastic. A movie was made recently. I think most of you have seen that movie. Who can tell me the name of a Hollywood movie based on perhaps the greatest Hindu mystic of the century? Ramanujan. The movie is called Good Will Hunting, with Matt Damon. Who is Matt Damon? Matt Damon is Ramanujan. In fact, in the movie, if you listen to the conversation between the MIT professors, they even say it. My God, he's the next Ramanujan. Well, what was Ramanujan doing? His manuscripts have still not been totally deciphered yet. He was working in the 26th dimension, the other magic number of string theory. However, there's a super magic number, and that number is 10. Well, somebody emailed me a few years ago stating that in Kabbalah's theory, if you add up the letters of God, Yahweh, they add to 26. And in the Kabbalah, there are the 10 dimensions of heaven. And again, I'm no authority on religions. All I'm saying is that string theory does isolate two magic numbers, 26 and 10.
He's trying to paint over the shadow. What? He's probably wondering, my God, why isn't it changing the color? I've tried my best, it's not becoming white. Oh my God. This world must be stayed.
Neuroscience fun fact of the day is that the direction that you lay while you're sleeping at night can impact your brain waves and your quality of sleep at night, and therefore your mood the next day. Research shows that people who lay in the north-south direction while they're sleeping have increased energy of delta, theta, and alpha brainwaves. And these are brainwaves associated with quality deep sleep and relaxation. And this north-south bed positioning is also associated with more positive mood states during the day. Now, research also shows that people who lay in the east-west direction while they're sleeping have more awakenings during the night and decreased quality of sleep. One of the conclusions of the study is that our brainwaves are sensitive to Earth's electromagnetic field. So whether you should lay facing north or facing south is going to depend on which hemisphere that you live. I'm getting really into this neuroarchitecture stuff, so stay tuned for more.
What was around before the Big Bang?
Nothing was around before the Big Bang. According to Einstein's general theory of relativity, space and time together form a space-time continuum or manifold which is not flat, but curved by the matter and energy in it. I adopt the Euclidean approach to quantum gravity to describe the beginning of the universe. In this, ordinary real time is replaced by imaginary time, which behaves like a fourth direction of space. In the Euclidean approach, the history of the universe in imaginary time is a four-dimensional curved surface, like the surface of the Earth, but with two more dimensions. In order terms, the Euclidean space-time is a closed surface without edge, like the surface of the Earth. One can regard imaginary and real time as beginning at the South Pole. There is nothing south of the South Pole, so there was nothing around before the Big Bang.
You want to see something freaky? Watch this. Just watch this. It's chasing this guy's ring. It's going from side to side of the plate, chasing the ring. Venom. It's Venom. You know what? It gets even more twisted than that. When the guy tries to separate that piece of Venom, it won't have none of that. Watch this. Watch this. This thing gets separated, but it goes right back together, baby. Right back together. What? When I saw that, it actually reminded me of something. Yeah, something else weird. This freaky thing that I like to call the pale-face Venom. Look, it can't be controlled. You can't control pale-face Venom. You know, there's a lot of strange stuff in our world, and it's not all under the cheese head. See, it's not all there. And me, Joe, with the cheese head, I'm here to find it and show it to you. At least until my goatee or beard grows back. Yeah. Shabadoo Booskies. Shabadoo.
One of the most famous images, if not the most famous images in philosophy, is the duck rabbit. It was made famous by Wittgenstein, and it's all about the idea of aspect perception. Here's the problem. Look at this image and tell me if you think it's a duck or a rabbit, because it can't be both, because a duck cannot be a rabbit. So it's either a duck or a rabbit, but this changes depending on you. The object itself is fixed. If you go away for a cup of tea, it'll be exactly the same, but something in your understanding or perception is shifting the object between a duck and a rabbit, and we cannot definitively say it is either. In his philosophical investigations, Wittgenstein draws a distinction between two different types of seeing. First, we have the direct and standard kind of seeing, which is the stuff which comes through your eyes, but we also have the ability to recognize an aspect. This is where we will see an object as a thing. Let us suppose that two people come across an abacus. It might be that someone who doesn't know what an abacus is assumes that it's some kind of toy, a game, or perhaps just an odd ornament. You, though, see an abacus. In this instance, you are seeing as, which means you see the object as a tool to be used in a certain way. The duck-rabbit image reveals to us the power of learning and our induction into rules. When a teacher says to you, this is an abacus, or your parents say that is a rhino, they are stepping into your head and telling you how the world is to be.
These are tapirs. There are 4 species still around today, and they have a very interesting past. You can start to see some of these little clues when you look into their modern-day distribution. 3 of the species can be found in South and Central America, while the other species is clear over here in Indonesia. So a really big gap between those two, but it hasn't always been that way. In fact, tapirs originated in Eurasia and North America, and it wasn't until the last 2 million years or so that they actually entered South America during the Great American Biotic Interchange. This figure from this study is showing where their fossil remains have been found across North America. You can see them all the way from Northern California up into New York State. But unfortunately, by 10,000 years ago or so, the tapirs in North America would join a growing group of megafauna that would go extinct during this time period that was marked by the onset of the Younger Dryas at a terrible time as the population of humans was also growing. Studies have attempted to determine how big of a deal the humans were versus the changing climate for these extinctions, and pretty much what we can agree on is that it was different for different types of animals. But with the tapirs specifically, I can certainly see how a growing population of humans would be a bigger problem for them in North America as opposed to South America, just based off of the forests, the fact that the forests in North America, at least across large parts of the region, you're going to lose a lot of that cover during the winter. That doesn't happen as much in South America. And tapirs just really seem like an animal that, looking out here across Missouri, if it comes down to a white-tailed deer or a tapir, which one am I going to be more likely to hunt and kill? Tapirs seem kind of goofy and awkward. Regardless of whether it was humans, the climate, or a mixture of both, our North American tapirs are gone, and I just wanted to kind of let more people know about the fact that we used to have tapirs here across Missouri, New York, Florida. You find all kinds of tapir fossils, especially teeth in the rivers. Just like the camels, they were an animal that was once really common.
Never seen anything like this before. It's time to go to bed. This dog here knows how to tuck themselves in. Wow. Hey, this is incredible. What? They even lock the dog. Wait, this could be either a skinwalker or a rugal. They even put off the lights. You mean all this bed is for the dog? Guy, lucky dog this one.
So how many people out there has this been happening to? Because I've been seeing a lot of comments recently on people seeing shadows and figures out of the corner of their eye. But then when you turn and you look, nothing. Now this happened to me the other day, and when it did, I didn't initially think anything of it. I saw a dark figure, a shadow, pass by my back door of my house on the outside. Now when I turned and I looked, I didn't see anything. So I kind of just blinked it out and wrote it off as nothing. And then I start seeing these comments all over the place, people seeing shadows and figures out of the peripherals. And I wanted to make this video specifically asking y'all, how many people out there is this happening to? And then also, when did you start noticing? And I've heard different theories on what people think that this is, but the bottom line is that the veil is thinning. More and more we're going to be seeing these kinds of things. Can you feel it? Time seems to be running out, doesn't it? Turn to Jesus. Turn to Him before it's too late. He alone is your salvation.
What's going on here? Good Vibes guy is making something incredible using a box. Let's see. You tear open a box. You remove one side of the box. Okay, then you cover it on top with what looks like a clear nylon paper. Oh, no. You put the nylon paper inside now there. Wow.
With this knowledge on this side of the audio, Aon Mask.
Yeah, inside the box. Now with that type of knowledge, my friends, or tricks, you come to this side of the world and wow, you are the new Elon Musk. Look at this incredible stuff. Oh, wow. Unbelievable.
Guys named Peter, Simon, James, Paul, Matthew.
I can answer that question for you. Now, it's a relatively easy answer, but unfortunately, not a lot of people see the answer. Now, the question is how, and it's a commonly asked question, how did Jesus find men named Peter, Paul, whatever, in the Middle East at that period of time? And once again, the answer is quite easy. And when you hear it, you're probably just going to kick yourself for a few minutes that you didn't put two and two together on this one. But believe me, it's going to be a relief, okay? The answer is he didn't. It's all bullshit.
Wonderful sauce, my friends. Thank you very much for watching all this. See, I really love you guys, and I really appreciate that you are always willing to watch these videos up to the end, hitting the like button and subscribing for those that had. You see, that is good, and it's a good vibes gesture. And for such type of gestures, my friend, it is clear the world needs more people like you, for us to be able to spread love and unite as all others. Now, my friend, because of your uniqueness and good vibes, it wouldn't be nice going through life without some guidance or something to look up to, some word that might guide us in our day-to-day activities. And for that, because myself, I would also love to be guided, my friend, we shall read from the book of knowledge, full of wisdom. This book here, can you see it? Is always full of good vibes, wisdom, words that can change someone's life. And it is used by people from all types or different groups and religions, because the information that is here is good. Let's hear for today what it says. This is what it says. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will rule them with an iron scepter. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Wonderful. This word from Psalms 2:8, my friend, is your word of today. For everyone, let us be guided in this life by God's grace at all times, and always give thanks to God for life and for everything. Let's give thanks before we leave and wrap up, before we go back to our daily businesses. Father Lord, creator of heaven and earth, Father, the giver of life, Father, full of grace and goodness, Father, we give thanks to you. All glory and honor belong to you, Jehovah. Father Lord, thank you for this soul, Father, this good vibes creature, dear Lord, that have watched these videos all this way, Father. Thank you for them. Remember them, Father. You know them individually and personally, Father. You know the desires of and needs of their heart, Father. May you intervene in their lives. Reveal yourself to them, Father, and bless them abundantly. May you change their lives for positive, Father. And all glory and honor will be unto you. In Jesus' mighty name, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Peace and love be with you, my friend. Till next time, good vibes.